Tonight in Adelboden takes a turn for the Ted. Ted Ligety is a giant slalom trailblazer with 3 wins this season. World Cup overall defending champ Marcel Hirscher of Austria never backs down. They clashed in Switzerland. Adelboden in southern Switzerland is a special stop on the World Cup circuit. Races on the Ernestburgli course are considered classics. First one held here in 1967, won by the legendary Jean-Claude Killy. An appropriate start to an historic race. Today it's the 5th GS of the season. The stakes higher perhaps as we're just past the midway point of the campaign and the World Championships are just around the corner. Ligety, Hirscher, and the rest of the big names gunning for victory in front of a huge crowd at Adelboden. Scott Oak along with Todd Brooker. And Todd, before we get to this race, the major stories of last week on the World Cup circuit, and certainly Canada was one of them.
Well, that's right. Last week in Zagreb, Croatia, the Canadian women's slalom team made history with 3 racers placing in the top 10. Never before has this kind of strength been shown by a technical event by Canadian skiers. Marie-Michelle Gagnon finished with a season-best performance in 8th place. World Cup rookie Brittany Phelan, who scored her very first World Cup points this season, has continued finishing in the points in 5 out of 5 slalom races. She had a career-best 10th place. And of course, the slalom team leader, Erin Milzinski, on the podium for the 2nd time in her career. She was 3rd. And Erin becomes only the 3rd Canadian woman in history to win a World Cup slalom event, joining Nancy Green and Betsy Clifford, ending a 41-year drought in slalom. Well done, ladies. Terrific weekend.
And the race won by American teenager Michaela Schifrin, her 2nd World Cup win. In the men's race at Zagreb, difficult conditions, Todd, but no surprise that Marcel Hirscher could master them.
Oh, you bet. It was another flawless slalom performance for the 23-year-old Marcel Hirscher in Zagreb, Croatia, fueling his overall lead in the standings. 51 points now ahead of Axel Lund Svindal and 188 points over the 3rd place Ted Ligety. I mean, this guy is skiing at a different level in pretty much every slalom race I have seen him.
Most of Svindal's points come from the speed races. He does ski GS, so he'll be under a bit of pressure today given the battle with Hirscher. He does have 3 top 10 finishes in giant slalom races this season, but it's the speed events where Svindal excels.
Well, when you're talking about the overall title, it's important to note that Svindal races in 3 events, not just 2. He's leading in the downhill standings, leading in the Super G standings, maybe not a threat to win a giant slalom race, but certainly capable of scoring big points in GS and closing that distance in the overall.
And the class of GS, Ted Ligety, in 3 of his races this season, it was not a question of if he'd win, but by how much.
You're exactly right about that. I mean, Mr. GS, his trumps cards are in GS only. He's never won a slalom, a World Cup slalom, only in the top 10 once. Racing in 2 disciplines, though. So that's, you know, his margins are the thing that's really creating the stir this season.
3 wins and a 3rd place finish add up to 360 points for Ligety, but only a 40-point lead over Hirscher. So there's the fight in GS. Todd, unlike downhill, there's not much parity in GS. Only 3 racers have won in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, pretty amazing. 13 races out of 15 races. You know, this is not unlike the era of Ingemar Stenmark and Phil Merritt, when it was pretty easy to see who are the guys that are going to win. I mean, the question up for grabs always is who's going to finish 3rd.
Takes a great skier to win on this challenging course at Adelboden and to win multiple times.
Yeah, well, I talked a minute ago about Ingemar Stenmark. Amazing guy, 86 victories, 46 of them in giant slalom, and 5 of them on this course. I mean, one guy that's fairly notable that's missing from this group of skiers is Michael van Groningen. 23 World Cup giant slalom victories, only 1 win here in Adelboden.
All right, highlights of round number 1. Marcel Hirscher with bib number 1, and he took full advantage of a fresh track.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you have to do on this hill. The racers love it because, you know, this hill throws more different terrain at you than any other venue in the World Cup for giant slalom, including this last free fall into the finish. That is absolutely spectacular. This man skis on the edge all the time. He's not just trying to score points for the overall, he is trying to win every single event, Scott, and that's the big difference in watching him.
This 1:14.22 would not be beaten as he sets himself up to defend the GS. He won here a year ago. Ted Ligety of Park City. Ted the Shred, 4th in the first run. He's won lots of GS races, but he dearly wants this one.
Yeah, he does. He wants this one on his resume for sure. He's really only had one great result here in Adelboden. He had 14 victories in his career. He's won 3 races this season, including the last one, Adelboden. So he is on a roll. He is ready to go, and you know, he's feeling happy because he's been skiing some powder here even yesterday.
Finished second, closest to Hirscher, to ensure they will go second last and last in the second run. Thomas Fanera of France, 4th ranked in GS coming into Adelboden. This would be one of his better runs of the season.
Yeah, he's not a youngster either. I mean, he's 31 years old. He was 3rd in Adelboden, 3rd in Adelboden in 2011. This is his favorite race course, and you know, you've got to ski on the edge. That's what he did in this first run, so it was nice to see that kind of charge from him.
Fanera 3rd in the first run, eyeing his 2nd podium finish of the season. Then Norway's Axel Lund Svindal, a speed king, but a good GS skier, as you've said, as his win here 2 years ago proves.
Well, he shows that he's going to be in contention to win some major points here. You know, he's on a little bit of a different level from Hirscher and Ligety, but you know, unlike the tradition of the Vikings, where you're just trying to score points in the attempt to win the overall title, this year, Svindal is showing way more aggression than Giant Slalom. He is looking like he's trying to win every race. He's taking a lot of risk, and it's fun to see.
Well, 4th for Svindal on the first run, very much in the mix, heading for the second. Eric Reed of Canada, very early in his World Cup career, so using Adelboden for valuable experience.
Yes, he certainly is. I mean, he's only 21 years old, and in case the name sounds familiar, he is Ken's son. This is only his 3rd World Cup start this year, last season's NorAm champion. So, you know, you're right. This is a run for experience, and he'll never forget coming into this finish area with this kind of crowd.
Didn't qualify for the second run, so he'll put this one at Adelboden into the memory bank. This was Philip Brown of the Craigleith Ski Club in just his 5th World Cup start.
Yeah, hailing from the big mountains north of Toronto. This was a bronze medalist in the combined at the 2011 World Junior Championships in Crans-Montana. Good all-round skier, and another guy just looking to find some comfort on this hill, and he'll be back to charge in another year.
There would be an easier place to ski at the start of your career than Adelboden. Brown, though, with his best skiing ahead of him, didn't qualify for the second run. Neither did J.P. Waugh, but he was closest of the Canadians.
Well, you know, this season for him started off so well. He was 17th in Solon, great way to start the season, but hasn't been able to qualify for a second run in the last 3 races. And, you know, it just doesn't look like there's the same kind of spring, the same kind of snap in his legs. Remember, he's 33 years old, but, I mean, the kind of experience that he is giving off to these younger experiences is one great reason why he should still remain on this team.
He was about a second back at the qualifying time. So, heading for run number 2, the way led by Marcel Hirscher, followed by Ted Ligety. Great anticipation over the finish of this race. Ligety looking for his 4th GS win of the season. Hirscher will do all in his power to take it away, and we'll see what Axel Lund Svindal can do starting 27th. No Canadians, by the way, crack the top 30, so none in the second run. There was some news from Alpine Canada today. The most decorated member of the women's team, Kelly Vanderbeek, announced her retirement at her home Chicopee Ski Club in Kitchener. Vanderbeek is the subject of our Audi Return to the Podium report. Todd, a career ends on an injury. You know the feeling.
Well, the retirement decision is never easy, but listen, the World Cup has no sympathy for injured racers, and over the last 3 years, Kelly's been out. It's a totally different league. Luckily, Kelly's already got lots on the go, and with her passion for life, she'll be a success no matter where she decides to go. Good luck, and all the best, Kelly.
There is 20-year-old Gino Cavazel hoping to give the Swiss crowd something to cheer about today. When we come back, it's the second run of the men's giant slalom on the Kurnisbergli course at Adelboden. Reminder, with the lockout settled, Hockey Night in Canada returns a week today. Full details of the schedule just coming out, but we will have games, we're delighted to say, next Saturday on Hockey Night in Canada. Picture perfect day at Adelboden. They had 15 centimeters of snow. 2 nights ago, they called the Army in to slip it off the course, and the course is in good shape. Well, the Swiss managed to get 2 skiers into the second run. That's the way it's gone for them this season. Only 2 skiers. They've had terrible results. Gino Cavazel, member of their C team, started 52nd in the first run and finished 22nd. We'll see what he can do on this famous course now in front of passionate, Todd, but very concerned fans.
Yeah, that's right. You know, they don't really care who's in the race. They come out in droves or another record crowd. Adelboden, a historic race and the historic hill, always gives up its fair share of surprises on this mountain. Maybe this will be the one Swiss that actually does it. I mean, you said it already. Didier Defago, the best ranked skier in downhill, ranked number 25. The Swiss are struggling. They're willing to put anyone in the race. And this is a young guy who earned his way based on a good World Cup finish. And he is skiing good this run.
In the green on this incredibly tough, steep finish pitch, just his 10th World Cup start. The Swiss desperate for a good result, haven't had a top 3 in either the speed or technical races, and Cavazel delights the crowd here, at least temporarily, as he takes the lead by half a second.
You know, his first time qualifying for a second run in a giant slalom was last week at Adelboden, or at Adelboden. So, I mean, spectacular round, a spectacular momentum that he's generated here. And you can already see just how difficult this run is. I mean, this is one of the first skiers down, and already it's bumpy, it's dark, it's rolly. I mean, this hill is going to throw everything at you.
Back at the start, Italy's David Simoncelli is a giant slalom specialist who's managed to finish 2 races this season, but they were good results. 3rd at Beaver Creek, 5th at Adelboden, suggesting, Todd, that if he can get to the finish, he will contend. And he brought a lead of 0.3 of a second into this second run.
In the past, you know, there's been a lot of skiers on this mountain that, you know, have taken advantage of an early start number in the second run and moved up 20 or 25 places. I mean, Stefan Lewis has already done that this year. He moved up 25 places in Val d'Isère, so it is possible when a course starts deteriorating. Today, the hill is a little bit harder. There's probably more likelihood in someone throwing away a lead than there is in really building up one in the second run, I think.
Simoncelli's lead down to 0.2 now, as he is on that extraordinarily tough, steep finish pitch.
Well, you take a lot of speed into that last pitch. You've really got to be set up well.
Well, he gets to the finish today, and he gets the lead. The Italian does it by 1/10 of a second to drop Cavazel to second, 2:31.10, the new standard at Adelboden. Here is Matthew Favre of France, 20-year-old skier with a handful of World Cup starts to his credit, cut his start number in half in the first run, getting in for 17th.
I've talked in a lot of shows earlier in the season about the change of equipment in giant slalom from a 27-meter ski to a 30-meter ski. I've noticed on this hill, every year, Scott, it seems to get set faster and faster, and the skiers are, you know, they're hitting 55, 60 miles an hour down towards the bottom of this run, so over the years it's changed quite a bit.
The skier's been trending upwards this season, finishing 28th, 18th, and 10th in 3 GSs. The 10th at Adelboden, a career best, but he's very early in his career.
Well, that's a real gut check. Coming over that last pitch, and he is way low in there. He's going to lose a pile of time there. French skier throwing away a good work in that first run.
Yes, and he lost another 1/10 of a second thanks to that mistake on the steep. He's a 1/4 second off Simoncelli's time and 3rd.
Well, look at this one. He just got a little bit late in the setup. I mentioned that when you come into that last drop-off, you better be high in your line. Otherwise, you're going to be scrambling all the way to the finish. Markus
Sandell of Finland has a season best finish of 7th in the last GS at Adelboden. Starts his second run with a lead of 0.4 of a second. Again, we point out for the first half of the start list in the second run, we're picking up the skiers at the second interval, where Sandell is still narrowly in the green. Well, in the summer, this is all meadows for the cattle and hayfields up here. There's a lot of rollers on. There's a roller right in there. That's actually a road that crosses over this track to allow the farmers to gain access. So they don't try and cover them up or smooth them out. And that's one of the challenges on this hill, Scott, is the terrain bending your ski all different directions. Good midsection, and now Sandell has increased his lead to almost 3/10. Very tiring hill in this last couple turns here. They'll really take it out of you. Sandell with a very good run. A year ago in this race, 17th, could be better than that today, as he takes the lead from Simoncelli by 0.07 of a second. Well, it looks like they're slowing down off the flat before this last pitch, but if they're smart, they're setting themselves up. That's what Sandell did. Swedish racers qualified for the second run here at Adelboden. Mats Olsson, the second of them, 14th place in the first run. His advantage to start the second run, 17 hundredths of a second, and the lead is all gone and then some at the first split.
Well, this hill is intimidating, not just that last pitch, but even the meadows through the top. I mean, these rollers can throw you off your line, and that's can become very unsettling to the racers who have got you know, a good line planned in their mind. This race is important, Scott, because you know the racers that only ski giant slalom aren't going to get back in the GS gates again for another 5 weeks, so they've got to make hay in this particular run prior to the World Championships.
Olsson got some time back at the last split, but 6/10 too much to make up on this finish. One of the toughest the men face. 2:31.03 the target time, and Olsson is 34 100ths off it and 5th.
A little bit of a relief it looked like to get down the finish, because he had some close calls. One of them was right in there, that right-hander, and then you know, if you get off your rhythm a little bit, you're going to pay for it for 4 or 5 gates after.
Well, it's a Finnish skier, Marcus Sandell, with the early lead at Adelboden, but the fastest from the first run have yet to ski. The leaderboard is bound to change several times over when we come back with more World Cup giant slalom racing. Tomorrow at Adelboden, it's a slalom race for the men, essentially the same cast of characters, Todd, with Marcel Hirscher of Austria leading the way.
Well, I know one thing, the cowbells will be ringing all night. A lot of people in this 15,000 person crowd don't go home, they just stay in this.
As well, the winner of the first run and getting set to ski 30th here. 13 remaining at Adelboden. Standing room only here, although lots of places to stand on this absolutely gorgeous day. Manfred Mold of Italy is a 9-year veteran, enjoying a strong season, been solidly in the points in all his races, both slalom and GS. He started the season on the podium in Solden with a second place finish, and started this run with a lead of almost 2/10 of a second over the current leader, who is Marcus Sandell, and the Italian still green-lit at that second split.
And another 4th place in Beaver Creek early in the season. I mean, you can see the experience in his skiing and in his legs. Really soft over the rolls, pressing, staying on the ground. And, you know, that's the thing with these new skis. Boy, if you get off them, if you get on your inside ski, that ski is not going to come around like the 27-meter radius giant slalom. You've got to be there with it the entire time.
Gained 15 hundredths or so from the last split. Now it's all about that challenging finish.
Nice, good attack over these last few turns, a good straight line, lots of risk there for Mold.
Mold very direct, and it pays off.
Nice.
He took a chance, and how about that? He takes the lead by almost 8/10 of a second. Manfred Mold in front now at Adelboden.
See, that's what I mean. You've got to have the experience and the confidence on this hill to be able to really challenge that steep down at the bottom, Scott. I mean, it's going to scare a lot of skiers who haven't been around here as often as Mold has.
So Mold, the new leader at the start gate. Philipp Schorghofer of Austria has been in the World Cup points in 2 GS races this season. He was 12th in the first run and dead even with Mold to start this one.
I just want to remind our viewers that, I mean, we're going to be around here for another week, and Wengen is only one valley to the east of here, and racing takes place there next weekend, so southern Switzerland is the place to be right now.
Schorghofer still in the green by 7 hundredths at that second split.
Well, the Austrians under a lot of pressure. I mean, they're still qualifying for the World Championships coming up in February in Schladming, another one of the hotbeds of ski racing in history. Schorghofer's really pushing it. This is a better run than I've seen him make all year.
The lead, 2/10 of a second at that last split, but not as direct a line on the pitch as we saw from Mold.
A little choppy down there, a little tough.
Mold's leading time is safe. Schorghofer gave back a lot of time on that finish pitch. He is 6/10 of a second out and second to Mold. So again, the finish pitch costly here at Adelboden.
Yeah, he showed a lot of respect for it. I don't really blame it. But when you get low, there's a little bit of a chop in that blue gate, and you see it took him a long time and not too much carve in between turns there. There's a Reichelt on the right who went out early in his second run, right at the top.
Here's the Olympic giant slalom silver medalist, Kjetil Jansrud of Norway. Earned his first top 3 finish on the World Cup circuit right here at Adelboden in January of '09. Really launched his career as a top contender. His advantage to start was 1/10 of a second, and his lead gone at that second critical interval.
He says that his teammate Svindal is really pushing him. This is a guy that even Svindal said he didn't like working out until he started hanging around with me. And you know, I think his work ethic is a lot different now. But to me, it looks like he is getting more tired in every race of the season. His legs a little bit spent now in the second run, losing more time, Scott.
Yeah, 6/10 back on the steep finish now. He won't make that kind of time up. We can safely say that.
Another mistake down here on the steep. I mean, you're going to see that over and over again with racers in this lower part.
In fact, gave back a lot more time. Jansrud almost 1.4 seconds out, and he is 8th. So Mole continuing to lead here.
Well, like I said, I think experience is a valuable commodity, and Molga's got the most of anyone we've seen so far until we get to this man from Austria.
Yes, the second last Austrian to go. It's Benny Reich, opened the season with an 8th place finish in the Solden GS in October, but since has not managed another top 10 finish, although he is Todd, a 3-time winner here, and he was 2nd last year, and his lead has gone now, trailing by 1/4 of a second.
Well, at this stage of the season, I mean, he is fighting for his life. He's trying to get on that Austrian team for the World Championships. There's a lot of rumors that Benny Reich's going to wave his farewell to the World Cup after the World Championships and after this season. I don't know. He seems to be coming on as a big event skier, and he's just getting primed, I think.
Usually gets it going in the month of January. 36-time winner on the World Cup circuit. He'll need to turn the clock back to get number 37 today, and it doesn't look as though it'll happen.
Well, just smart skiing, maybe giving this hill a little bit too much respect.
Reich is 7/10 of a second out. He's 3rd, so Molg still 1st, and Schorghofer is 2nd.
You know, I think Benjamin's going to be pretty happy with that, except for a couple turns down here in the bottom. That's the setup, that left-hand turn for this last pitch, and he was a little bent out of shape there.
Manfred Molg delighted to have survived that challenge from one of the great all-around skiers. This is Felix Neureiter of Germany. 9 to go at Adelboden now. Neureiter in the midst of his best World Cup season. He's been well inside the top 10 in his races, and on New Year's Day he won the thrilling parallel slalom in Munich. Neureiter starting with a lead of 3/10 of a second. Now I think we're getting to see the entire runs of the remaining skiers.
Yeah, this is it. This is where it gets exciting. And, you know, Neureiter has got youth on his side, and he is so quick. That's why he won that parallel slalom in Munich. Just so strong, so fast. The good starts. It's a little different story in giant slalom. You got to be patient with some of these turns. But he's got the legs. That's what you need here.
Very consistent skiing from Neureiter. He's green lit all the way down this course.
Well, the season has been going the right way, too. He's just been getting stronger every single race, building on his confidence. Just oh, look, super turns down here.
Molg's time is in jeopardy here, and Neureiter has him by 3/10 of a second. Felix Neureiter, the new leader. Molg drops to 2nd. Schorghofer is 3rd. Well, the 40,000 or so at Adelboden getting their money's worth today. There are 8 remaining to ski here as we work our way down to the fastest skiers from run number 1. One of them, former World Cup overall champion Ivica Kostelic, who had a solid first run, and he'll ski when we come back. Calgary's Olympic Oval gets a workout next weekend with long track speed skating. Christine Nesbitt leads the home side in a World Cup meet featuring sprint racers on the world's fastest ice surface. Germany's Felix Neureiter has the lead in this GS at Adelboden with 8 to go, and his time to be challenged now by his teammate Fritz Doppler. Season's best result has come in giant slalom. He was 4th at Alta Badia. That remains his only top 10 finish of this World Cup season. 8th in the first run, and with a lead of just over 1/10 of a second to start this one.
Well, if you're looking for your first victory in the World Cup, you know, you want to be building momentum and building confidence. And that's what the German skiers are doing right now. Between him and Neureiter, I mean, the Germans are a team to watch out for. And it's a good start to the second run.
Yeah, looking very smooth, although the lead did shrink at that first split.
Well, remember, I mean, the later into the pack that we go, the slower this course is getting. The more tracks there are, it's impossible to come up with that top time. I would think by the time we get down to the 30th skier, this course is about a second slower, so keep that in mind.
Doppler still green lit. Used to ski for Austria. His father's Austrian, mother German. Skied for Austria until '07, then began skiing for Germany.
Well, you've really got to work the skis. When you go in and out of the sunshine like this, you've got to be prepared for those rollers to come at you and be soft on the skis. Dopfer has skied very well. Look at him go now, half a second ahead.
Well, built the lead to that half a second at the last split. You would think that'd be enough, but anything can happen just on this steep finish.
Well, just hanging on these last few gates. Oh, this was a good run.
And Dopfer gets the leading time, the new leader, by just under a tenth of a second. Neureiter drops to second. Germany, though, 1-2 with 7 remaining.
Well, he found it a little bit tough on this last pitch. He dropped a little bit low in his line, so he dumped almost half a second there. But all in all, I mean, that's what this course is going to do to you. And Dopfer hung on very well.
Seems, Todd, to all come down to that free fall to the finish.
Well, it is. Remember, the legs are tired down there, too. This is, you know, as far as the racers are concerned, this is one of the most exhausting courses there is. It's impossible to carve all the turns on this run, and then that last pitch comes at you.
So Dopfer, the new leader, as Neureiter steps aside for him. Massimiliano Blardoni of Italy has his place in the history of this Classic GS, having won it in '05, last year third here, 3 times before that second, so you know he feels comfortable here. Little time to play with, though. His lead to start was 0.05 of a second.
Yeah, that was a great tails away shot there. You can see the offset in the gates here, but over the years, like I mentioned, this course gets faster and faster. They tried to, you know, slow things down, make it more difficult for these guys, but the course setting has changed too. I mean, look at Blardoni. He's ripping here, isn't he?
Doubled his lead at the first split. 7 World Cup wins, 24 podium finishes, all in GS, a 3-time Olympian for Italy. Good bet to make it 4 next year in Sochi, but he's in the red now.
I've counted about 10 gates here that he's taken right off his helmet. He is really beating himself in this run. Just going all out, but you know, here's where the real game changer on this course. He's lost his ski right in there. I mean, it is getting tough. He's coming a little late into this final pitch.
Out of the shade, onto the steep finish pitch, trailing by 0.6 of a second.
Oh, hanging in there.
Oh, he's done. He's done.
Oh, no. You believe that? He just got a little bit late at that start. And rather than throwing him sideways, for some reason, he tried to continue carving there, Scott. I really don't get it. It's like he lost his thinking. Right in here, he should have thrown him sideways, and he just more or less gave up.
Well, he took a few risks in Solton and Alta Badia, failing to finish those races, and he won't finish this one. About 4 gates from the finish, Blardoni is out, and Germany is still 1-2. Dopfer and Neureiter. There's Ted Ligety getting set to go. He will ski second last. The list of great champions at Adelboden includes Ivica Kostelic of Croatia. He won the slalom here 2 years for him. This year, though, Todd, he did break the top 10 in last week's slalom in Zagreb, but most often this year he's been outside the top 10.
I don't know if you believe in Malcolm Gladwell's theory about the 10,000 hours and how you're not really proficient until you have that under your belt. I know that Ivica Kostelic does believe in that. He had this 10,000 hours in years ago. This is a guy that trains 120 days in the off-season. He probably trains harder and longer than anybody else in the World Cup circuit.
And looking good now with a lead of 1/4 of a second. He is skiing on old man's knees, torn the ACL in both several times.
Well, he's won the slalom here in Adelboden. He's never won the giant slalom. He'd like to add that to his list of accomplishments over the years. But as you can well imagine, of course, this rough and this bumpy, I mean, if you've got an acre of pain, this course is going to help develop that even more by the time you get down to the 3/4 mark where he is right now.
Went from green to red at the last split. This one now heading for the very steep finish, and Kostelic, sad to say, is out of touch.
Well, he might be out of touch as far as winning, but you know what? I think this is a pretty good looking run. If he gets himself into the top 10, he's going to be very happy with his performance here.
And Kostelic is 4th and 0.6 of a second back.
I think that's a nice job for a guy. And there you go. I mean, he's happy with the way he skied. He was smart at the bottom and showing his experience. And I think his camp is going to be very happy with that.
That'll be significant World Cup points for Ivica Kostelic, so it's still Dopfer, Neureiter, and Mold in that order. Alexei Pintereau of France, rising star on his team. He burst through with his first World Cup win in the slalom at home in Val d'Isère in early December. And inspired by that win, he appeared to be on his way to victory in the GS there the next day, but a big mistake just before the finish cost him. Pintereau 5th in the first run and started this one with a lead of 0.14 of a second.
Well, he's going to have to use that as a good lesson for him not to do it again. I mean, he's falling 3 gates before the finish, but this guy has got the same kind of smarts that Hirscher does. I mean, the same kind of all-out attempt. He's not just kind of,
big mistake.
Oh, boy. Not just trying to get a result, he's trying to win every race, and he is starting to lose the fight with this course here, way behind now.
That was a blazing fast start by Pintereau, but then big trouble, and he paid dearly for that on the clock. He's in the red now by a full second.
Well, oh no, another out of controller off one of those rollers off the roadway. I mean, he is kind of making a mess of this second run, very much like he did in Val d'Isère.
Yeah, there's attacking the gates, and then there's attacking the gates, which Pintereau is doing right now. And he trails by 1.6 seconds, and again he does it.
Wow, he's going to be lucky to hang in here on this course. I mean, he is just on the edge all the way down, but this is not going to be very good.
This will not be Pintereau's day, thanks to those mistakes. And he is 12th, and 1 3/4 seconds is the deficit.
Well, this is something he's going to have to look at the video of and really try and clean up. That was the mistake he made that really set off a catastrophe down in the lower part of the course as, you know, he multiplied that one.
So Germany still 1-2 at Adelboden as the Swiss cowbells get a workout. 4 to go here now. Svindal, Finera, Ligeti, Hirscher. We're set up for a thrilling finish as it will come down to Hirscher's ability to hold off everyone else when he skis last as we continue with World Cup Giant Slalom Racing. Back with you for Giant Slalom Racing at Adelboden. A reminder, the speed races for the men pick up next week on the Lauberhorn at Wengen, the longest leg burner in World Cup skiing.
2 minutes and 30 seconds of great fun on the Lauberhorn. I love January. Back-to-back races, Wengen and Kitzbühel. What could be better than that?
So it's the men's team's the leader. But a serious threat in the start gate now. Axel Lund Svindal of Norway has his name among the greats to have won this classic race. He was victorious here 2 years ago. Svindal 4th in the first run and with a 1/4 second advantage to begin this one.
10. 5, 4.
Scott, that crowd is kicking up some noise. These are very smart ski fans here. They know a lot about the circuit, a lot about this man right here. I think Axel's fitness, that's going to be one of the things that's going to catapult him into the top in this particular race. Nobody's stronger or more powerful on his skis than this man.
His time is measured against Dopfers and Svindal in the green at the first split, but he lost 1/10 of a second.
He's 5th in the giant slalom standings, and as I mentioned, the thing that he has over Hirscher and Ligeti is that he is scoring points in 3 events, ahead in the downhill, ahead in the Super G standings, and still a threat in the giant slalom.
Now he's in the red. He had the overall lead in the standings until last week when Hirscher leapt over him by those 51 points. So World Cup points in this race all important to Svindal as he tries to keep pace with Hirscher until the speed races resume at Wengen.
And the thing you're going to notice, you know, the difference between a Hirscher and a Ligeti compared to Svindal. Svindal doesn't get the same kind of angles, but he is so strong and powerful on those edges. He can do it without laying the skis right over so much. A little bit late in this final pitch, so that's going to be a bit of concern.
Svindal, 7/10 of a second back of Dopfer's time, and he is 5th. So Fritz Dopfer still leading, Norreiter 2nd, and Manfred Mold 3rd. The top 3 unchanged.
Well, still a successful day in the office any way you look at it. Svindal scoring more points, still moving himself up in the standings. Good strong run, a very controlled run, I'd say.
2-time World Cup overall title holder. He's been in the top 10 of 3 GS races this season and will make it 4 today. Thomas Finera of France, a serious threat. He's been 4th, 7th, 3rd in GS races this season, reaching the podium in Alta Badia in December. 2 years ago, Finera was on the podium in this race. Sooner or later, you'd think he would win, but today it'll be tough with Ligeti and Hirscher to follow.
What's interesting when you look at the first run times, I mean, Ligety and Hirscher are way out in front, only 1700ths apart. Fenara in third place, a little bit more than a second behind. Fenara's off, and he's down. Oh, early in the run, Scott, this is unbelievable.
Well, a wonderful opportunity for Fenara comes to a very quick end. He got twisted, and you'll see his left ski pop off here.
Well, you know, that's something you would see in the older 27-meter radius skis when you get them loaded up. But that, I think, was caused because of the flat light up there, the real darkness. I don't think he really saw that rut, and then all of a sudden he bent the ski. A great overhead view looking at it. Just watch the transition right in here, and he just gets squashed on that ski. It kind of overbends, and that power just shoots him up. Boy, that was a waste of some good work he had in the first run.
So the Germans still 1-2.
You know, two of the French skiers, Pintero and Fenara, are both wasting their first run efforts.
And now Ted Ligety, 2 to go, and it's a duel between he and Marcel Hirscher. An amazing story he's been. Vocal in his opposition to the change in the shape of the GS skis, mandated by skiing's governing body, then went out and won 3 GSs with margins of victory rarely seen. Starts this run with a lead of 1.34 seconds, but Todd, he's going to need to be more than safe with Hirscher coming next.
Yeah, look at the difference in the skiing though, Scott. I mean, he stands up in the middle of the turns and then lays on that ski so early. He has got his turn developed, not only started, but developed before he gets to the gate. I mean, those are just sweet turns. He is just carving up the flat in the rollers in the early part of this course.
In his own words, I haven't had much success at Adelboden. He's out to change that today, and with these times, he is skiing accordingly.
Well, he's got some good aggression going, good intensity, beautiful turns right in there. He's never won this giant slalom before. It's looking like he is possessed. He is looking for the victory here.
His 3 wins this season have come by 2 3/4 of a second, 1 3/4, and 2 seconds. And surely almost 9/10 will be enough for him to take the lead here.
He's on the edge. He's on his tails of his skis there. Oh, look at this run.
Well, it was not a perfect finish, but more than good enough for Ted Ligety to take the lead by 1.15 seconds.
You know what, that didn't look like a real save down here at the bottom, but he was way back on his tails. He pulled that one off. That was testing the strength in his legs. After having set it up so perfectly, he was letting it run out onto the edge. That's what you do when you're as confident as Ted Ligety is. Man, that was super skiing, and these guys just giving it up for him.
So the German skiers dropped to 2nd and 3rd as Ligety takes the lead. He's made his case for a 4th GS win this season. Now it's up to Marcel Hirscher of Austria. Can he answer? Nothing short of brilliant this season on the podium in every one of his races, both GS and slalom. Won both races here last year, leads the overall standings as he defends that title and starts this second run with a lead of 1700ths of a second.
Well, I just love this kind of racing because you know the guys aren't jockeying. There's no strategy here. I mean, it's 100%. Hirscher's lead is only 1700ths of a second, so a virtual tie. He's added to that now, but you know, this guy is just taking it out here. I mean, this is no holds barred. He's not holding back anything here, Scott.
Well, this is typically smooth, efficient skiing by Marcel Hirscher. Always skis late because he finishes so high in the first runs. Always left to contend with rutted, worn courses. Makes it look easy, and now his lead, 3/4 of a second.
Just absolutely spectacular. You know, I think he's learned from Ligety early in the season. The only way to command these skis is to get the turn started early, and he's been working on that. He's way out in front of this course, and now ahead by a second.
The only racer to take a GS away this season. He's in big trouble.
Oh boy, he just about skied over that. Look at now.
Oh, did he make the gate?
He just barely made it, just barely got those skis around, but the race is over. Hirscher has thrown it away. This is unreal.
He has handed the win to Ted Ligety. Hirscher gets a result, but Ligety wins. Hirscher, 16th, 3 seconds back. Ligety could only watch in amazement as he gets the win. Moyreiter and Dopfer are 2nd and 3rd.
This may not be the way you want to win, but you know, I'm sure Ligety is saying underneath his breath, who cares? I'll take it. What a dramatic mistake by Marcel Hirscher, in command most of the way down, Scott. And then to throw it away on this last game. Watch this. He was just so late. He has to actually throw himself over top of the gate as he takes it out with both hands. And then he gets so low on the next gate that he just can't come back. There's no way. He is just way low here. This hill is just too steep to get away with a mistake like that on his inside ski. All the things that you would never have expected happened to Marcel Hirscher within the last 5 gates of this course.
Well, we have seen some dramatic finishes this season, none more so than this one at Adelboden, I'd suggest. Ligety gets a gift from Hirscher. Hirscher's lone major mistake of the season, perhaps, allows the German duo of Dopfer and Neureiter to finish 2nd and 3rd. So it's the U.S. at Adelboden today. Worth mentioning as well that Alice McInnes of the U.S. won the women's downhill at St. Anton today, so the Americans rule the skiing world on this day. Svendal 6th, Hirscher 16th today as they get significant World Cup points. Let's hear from Ted Ligety.
Today I was really lucky. Marcel Hirscher won this race today. He was, he's going to blow me out of the water big time. So I got really lucky, and I guess I'll take it because I've given him some of those gifts in the past before. So I'm happy to win here. I mean, it's been a very difficult hill for me in my career, and it's nice to finally get a win.
Well, you seem to have a little bit of a trouble the same place where Marcel went out. How did you get out of those situations?
Oh, and that second run was so dark and bumpy like that. This hill is very tiring as it is too, so I was super tired, and I was just lucky enough to have, a little bit of reserve strength to stay on my feet.
Nice of Ligety to pay tribute to Hirscher as Ligety fully realizes he was gifted this race. A check of the GS standings. Ted Ligaty's win today leaves him 125 points clear of Hirscher with 3 GSs to go. Manfred Mold third, Dopfer and Neureiter both move up. Todd, looks like they'll chase Ligety for the rest of the season as he earns another 100 points today.
Well, they will. The thing that I find interesting, in his 3 previous victories, he's been scoring margins of 2.75 seconds, 1.75, and 2 seconds. I mean, this one actually looks pretty tight. He only won by a little bit over a second. Even Ted had problems down here at the bottom. Watch his left ski right in there. Just about got stuck on that outside edge. So, I mean, he was on the ragged edge of his skiing. That is what kind of limits this hill pushes you to.
Hirscher still leading the overall standings, although the gap between he and Svendal down to 26 points now. Ligaty's moved closer to both with today's win. Todd, Hirscher has won enough that what happened today may not be heartbreaking, but that's a little consolation to him.
Well, both the overall and the giant slalom standings are a whole lot tighter now, and I think we found out one very important thing, Scott. The guy is human after all. He makes mistakes. Hard to believe.
Can you imagine how hungry Hirscher will be in the slalom here at Adelboden tomorrow?
Well, the slalom here in Adelboden is not an easy race either. It is going to be one heck of a show. Something you won't want to miss.
So then, a chance for redemption for Marcel Hirscher in tomorrow's slalom. Hope you can join us for that race at 2 local time. Ted Ligety, the winner at Adelboden today. For Todd Brooker, I'm Scott Oak. Thanks for joining us. So long until tomorrow.